Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello people and welcome to the Rational League with a completely different panel than the normal panel because it's the holidays. Happy New Year everyone. Merry Christmas for the people that celebrate Christmas. And for the people that don't like Muhammad Salah celebrate Christmas, you can actually go and F yourself if you don't like them. It's all right. You know, I don't like what the people criticize people. Listen. Hello everyone and welcome to Footy Judge Mo again. We're here to talk about Chelsea. The amount of comments I got on yesterday's video about Chelsea and Mo, you bigged up Chelsea, you flip-flop, you said Chelsea are this, Chelsea are that. All right, we're here to talk about it then. You can ask your questions in the chat. And actually, if you're even not watching us live, you can comment after the video. I try to respond to every comment. So you can actually say what you think. Arsenal should capitalize on this Chelsea. Arsenal should go second today against Ipswich. For the first time, I actually don't see a lot of confident Arsenal fans for whatever reason. I don't know what is the reason. Not a lot of them.
We have confident to beat Ipswich or confident on the league?
Yeah. We have the most confident one out of them here on this panel, which is Gunnar Souls, of course. And we got the King, Rack, of course, not working. So he blessed us with his appearance today. Repping Liverpool with the King, Mohamed Salah. And Dan, who has been so harsh on Chelsea yesterday on his video, and on Instagram, of course, he's so harsh on Chelsea. Back to reality, as I think you used that word in one of the times. You used back to reality, people. Listen, guys, we are just starting the video. There's 150 people here. We're not even in 5 minutes. So let's get to 100 likes. Let me know in the comments what you think. And also, we were going to talk about Manchester United and Manchester City. And already Amarim is coming up with excuses to the journalists. Already. He's coming up with excuses. I don't want to talk a lot about Man City. We spent actually 40 minutes talking about Man City yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So let's start with Chelsea right away. shut their bed yesterday. You can. How's everybody doing? First, it's a Friday. All are off work. Nobody's working.
All
great.
good.
Oh, good.
Good day of football yesterday, actually, until Liverpool ruined
It's actually. I'm gonna tell you something. Let me ask the people in the chat, guys. Which game was the most entertaining games? Which game was actually the most entertaining games, in you guys' opinion? People in the chat, please let me know. Please let me know which game was the most entertaining one out of them all. Let me remind the people: Man United lost to Wolves 2-0. Bruno Fernandes got sent off. Liverpool fell behind 1-0 and won 3-1 with Mohamed Salah scoring a wonder goal at the end. Manchester City threw to Everton 1-1 at the Etihad. And Chelsea lost to Fulham 2-1. I didn't watch Villa Newcastle, and because I don't have multi-screen here in my mom's, and I didn't watch Nottingham Forest play. I watched the goal though when Elanga literally outran everyone. Which one?
Villa Newcastle was the most entertaining. But then again, like a lot of drama happened in that game, so that's probably why. But the rest of them, I actually thought were standard games. It didn't feel like a Boxing Day fixtures at all, in my opinion.
I actually think Chelsea game was the most entertaining.
It's the turnaround, the drama at the end, right?
The amount of chances. How do two teams go out? Rack, how do two teams go out with like each team has like more than 3 big chances in this game? Like,
that's fair.
How? It's a way open game, end to end, 50-50% position. I thought Chelsea should have won the game, in my opinion. I said that yesterday on my stream. I thought Chelsea should have won the game.
No, but then there's
even though Fulham had more chances.
Mm-hmm.
But Chelsea at 1-0 missed 2 clear-cut chances. Kukureya's header, and there's another one that was missed. I think Jackson missed one as well, if I'm not mistaken. But then, what do you make of Chelsea yesterday?
I think it was very frustrating. I'll be honest, I think it was diabolical, the in-game management. And I think we probably deserve to lose. And you just can't do that if you're going to be in a title race and you want to challenge the best teams in the league, because I actually believe someone like Arne Slot is far, far, far ahead of Maresca in the sense that he's way more pragmatic. And if a game isn't going his way, he's got the ability to switch it up and read a game and get results. And I think yesterday we saw that Maresca was either too stubborn or he wasn't aware of the changes that needed to be made to win him the game. So, yeah, really frustrating. And I just don't think Chelsea were good enough. I think Marco Silva and his Fulham side definitely got the better of their London derby rivals, and it's their first win at the Bridge since the 70s.
Why are people surprised? And that is the question for everyone. That Marco Silva is a better coach than Maresca. He has more experience and he has worked with this team way more. Years of working with this team. Same players. He has more experience than Maresca. Yes, Maresca's a great coach. He's a good coach. Started the season very, very well. And he definitely has better players than Fulham. Like, Chelsea players are better than Fulham, right? But as a coaching, yesterday, Marco Silva showed Maresca, listen, you can have the better player, but sometimes in-game management makes a difference. And Maresca will learn this with experience. He will learn. And it showed yesterday. The way Fulham managed the game, and I know that all of you watched the game, the way that Fulham managed the game, dropping deep sometimes, playing a high line sometimes, playing from the back, it shows that this guy is more experienced than that guy. It's very obvious. That is my take on the game. But again, the players again should have scored. It should have been 2-0 to Chelsea. It should have been. Kukureya should have scored that header.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the first half, Chelsea should have been more than 1 goal up. And I think if that was the case, then maybe Fulham's resurgence in the second half wouldn't have been
enough
as important as it ended up being. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Mo. I think it does come down to experience with the players on the pitch and with the manager. I think that is the risk you take when you put together an inexperienced squad and leadership. And that can ultimately happen in a season. They have to learn quickly, because the games at this period of time come very, very fast, and they can be difficult fixtures to navigate if you can't get control of your squad.
It's funny because this is the first time I've heard any Chelsea fans criticise Maresca this season.
Is that your first time doing a show with Dan?
Yeah, it is. To be fair, it is.
All right. It's the National League, though. This is
yeah. So Because I think on the whole, Chelsea are further ahead than most people expected them, or at least most maybe neutrals or opposition fans. Maybe Chelsea fans had a different expectation. But in general, I think as a neutral, I would say that Chelsea have had a good season so far.
You're not neutral. You support Liverpool. They are the main title contenders.
Neutral / rival. Yeah, I'm as neutral as a Liverpool fan can possibly be towards Chelsea.
This is why I mean here is saying big up, smash the likes for the most rational Liverpool fan out there. Well, Tom Little, hold that. Tom.
I don't know if that I'll take that as a compliment. But yeah, obviously, like my business partner's a Chelsea fan. All his kids are Chelsea fans. I've got lots of friends who are Chelsea fans, and I love them to bits. But obviously, Chelsea as an institution, I dislike because I'm a Liverpool fan, and I think
I had people yesterday guys tell me that Maresca should be sacked at the end of the season. I had people yesterday saying that Maresca should be sacked at the end of the season, and this is the fan base. The problem with this, I said that yesterday. The problem with this. This is the same fan base that kept telling us in the beginning of the season, we're going to have patience if this doesn't go well. I'm like, it is actually going well. It's going very well.
But Mo, this narrative also came out when Maurizio Sarri was appointed as manager under Abramovich. Well, we want to give him time. We want to help him develop a style of play. The one thing that Chelsea fans have been craving for quite a while, actually, was this attacking, controlling style of play. And that's what Sarri was brought in to do. And that didn't, okay, I mean, he lasted a season, which was more than many other Chelsea managers have lasted. But, ultimately, I think, especially the kind of newer age Chelsea fans, priority is trophies. I understand that mentality, but then it becomes difficult if that's your mentality to go through a process at the same time. But I mean, maybe I think people have.
So why are people saying Maresca? Okay, I get that he drew to Everton. Okay, fine. He lost to Fulham. Great. Okay, then. It's not the end of the world. This is Chelsea, people. Everyone said they're going to finish 6th and 7th. I said they're going to get top 4. This is second.
It's the Arsenal fan syndrome, though, it's that thing of overhyping where you actually are. Like, for example, in our first season when we competed as well, or when we looked like we could compete for the league title, obviously blowing the competition in the first half of the season and then obviously dropping the points when it came to the end of it. You've got to be real with yourself in terms of where you actually are. Like Maresca, this is his first season. He's not going to know the squad fully. Like even yesterday epitomizes why a manager needs time to understand what changes can actually affect in what way. Because you making a change doesn't always mean, like for example, if you have Palmer on the bench, let's just say hypothetically, you still don't know how he's going to impact the game midway through. As a starter, he can do it and he can get into match pace and match like the speed of the game quick. Whereas if some players coming off the bench don't always make that impact or don't have enough time to make that impact. And that's what he's learning. Because yesterday, I think he made like one change, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 2 changes, which isn't enough when the game you need to turn it into your tide. And this is why I say, like, as much as I understand this new wave of football where 1 season or 2 seasons is all you're going to give a manager to actually prove themselves, yesterday's game epitomizes why time is needed. To understand your squad firstly, because the direction that football is going in, it's all about the football decision makers more than the head coach or manager actually bringing their crop of players in. Yes, there's still some institutions who allow their managers to influence the transfer market, but Chelsea clearly isn't that kind of club. They're buying players for the club. So that's going to take any manager, and regardless of if you give this team to Pep, Arnie Slot, Klopp, or even Fergie and Wenger in their absolute prompts, they're going to take time to figure it out, to understand what players do what their mentality is going to be, how they're going to come off the pitch, and how long do they need to actually affect a game. And can they affect the game? Can they even be an impact sub? And that's what I think Maresca is trying to figure out. And yesterday, yes, maybe it's stubbornness, but maybe it's naivety to his squad and not understanding the players enough. Yes, I know he came in and made the bold move of coming in and, saying, this is my crop of 25, I think he said, or 30 players that he's going to keep, and the rest of them he doesn't really have a plan for. But even then, you need to give it time. You need to let him make these mistakes, because at the moment, it's not even a horror case. Like, in my opinion, they're getting top 4 regardless of how much Maresca messes up this season. Just because Spurs, United, the likes of Villa, Newcastle, all of the other competitors are too inconsistent. They are bona fide top 4 this season, and I think that should have been the target, and that's what you should be judging Maresca on. Now, yes, if he absolutely collapses and doesn't get top 4, then yeah, you can have that conversation and say, did it go wrong because of him, or did it go wrong because you didn't recruit better, or you didn't do something that could have helped him out? And I think that's what it's being realistic with your goals.
I want to ask about specifics and players, and then before that, guys, got over 400 people here. Hit that like button, people. Come on, let's get to 200 likes live, guys. Hit that like button. Thank you so much, Luke. Thank you, Mina, for super chatting the channel. Get your opinions in, guys. Please let me know. Players yesterday, who did you think performed well, Dan, yesterday? Because I thought Sancho was not good. I thought Jackson not been good. I thought Cole Palmer performed all right. I thought Caicedo was not good. I thought Enzo Fernandez was all right. Neto was not great. Malo Gusto, for some whatever reason, hasn't had the best season so far. And I think it might be down to Maresca's tactics. And I said something yesterday on the show, the people that watch me will know. I said, why is the right back that doesn't like to invert, is touching the ball 80 times, which is as much as Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, and the left back is only getting in the ball 40 times only? That must be instructions. Why? So we'll get to that. But what about the players that yesterday? Like, why? Also, why is Sancho now is turning into dribble, stop, go back, dribble, stop? He's not direct. He's not trying to take chances. He used to take chances at Dortmund, which is what Chelsea, but Chelsea didn't buy Man United Sancho. Chelsea bought Dortmund Sancho. But that Dortmund Sancho is not happening every game. He's not consistent. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Also, Jackson has 1 goal in 5 games. 1 in 5. That is not good for a Chelsea striker, to be honest. Especially when no one else is contributing as much in goals other than Palmer.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Jackson, since the goal he scored against Villa, has been poor, has looked reminiscent of the Jackson that we saw last season. His all-round game has been really below the level that I think he started off this season. I don't know whether that's a blip, but obviously that doesn't help the side. I think if he could have put in a better performance yesterday, maybe we're not talking about Chelsea losing or at least dropping all 3 points. I think it's hard to find a player yesterday that I felt was good. I think as a team, we were poor yesterday all over the park. I even think Cole Palmer scored a fantastic goal, but actually he was again deployed in a position where I don't really think that's working in Maresca's system. If you look at his heat map, he's occupying too much of the left-hand side of the 10 sort of space, and I really don't think that's where you get the best out of him, albeit he scored a good goal from that area. I think the majority of his game is being hindered. I think Enzo Fernandez is playing in a position that leaves far too much space behind him and too much work for Caicedo to pick up. And ultimately, Iwobi absolutely thrived in that area yesterday. I don't really think I can sit here and say anyone had a good game yesterday, and that can happen.
Lavia a bit, though. I think Lavia brings a little bit more control alongside.
Yeah, but he doesn't have Lavia. He has to figure it out. Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have him.
No. Yeah, I'm just saying. But I mean, Lavia is an exceptional player. I think.
Yeah, I think he is, but unfortunately, he's not proven to be reliable. He's a young age, and his injuries are a big concern, because if a youngster can't stay fit, that can be concerning. It's normally later on, after they've played a lot of minutes at a young age, that the injuries start to creep in. But if they're creeping in at a young age, it can be an injury-plagued career. I look, there was a lot of things required yesterday that didn't happen from the players and from the manager, and I just think it's a bad performance all round. It has to be nipped in the bud. It can't. I think you can spin a 0-0 at Goodison into a positive result. I think that's possible to do, because that's a tough place to go,
especially after Arsenal and Man City and how they are. Yes,
exactly right. That's a really tough place to go. Everton have got an extra push this season to get results at Goodison. It's their last ever season there as well, and I think that can be a difficult place to go, especially for an inexperienced team and inexperienced manager. As can that Fulham game. That's Fulham's biggest game of the season. To try and beat Chelsea is huge for them. They've done it now. They haven't won there since the 70s. And I feel like
haven't won at Stamford Bridge since the 70s.
No, they haven't. And I think second half they really sort of sniffed blood, even though we were 1-0 up. They really felt like there was an opportunity.
Breaking records. It's fine.
And
it's a joke.
Look, Chelsea have to. I don't think Chelsea need to panic right now. I think we're still in a good position. I actually believe that.
What about? Okay, can I get panic? Kingsley, appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. Is that panic super chat? Kingsley, I want to know, is that a panic super chat? Recalling players from loans? Is that a panic super chat?
No, I don't think it is. I actually think Andre Santos, with the issue that Lavia has where he isn't reliable, I actually think if you've got Andre Santos there, fit and available, and players like Cassidy and Dewsbury Hall can't get a minute in the team, and you believe he's at a level to add a good level of competition to the squad, maybe it's worth it. What I wouldn't want to do is recall Andre Santos and really
not give him minutes
time, like we did with Cassidy last season when he came back from Leicester on loan. That would be concerning for me because he's obviously playing and enjoying his football in France, and it would be silly to ruin that. Where Chelsea need to do better for me, and I'm not sure that we will, is add experience into this team. And the sporting directors, from what I've read today, don't want to do that, whether that be with age or with the type of profile. And I also think Chelsea need a different type of profile, number of positions to allow us to have a slight variation to our play and approach.
You know what's kind of tricky about this season, because obviously Chelsea do have a lot of players, and they're kind of splitting their squads between the Conference League and the Premier League and potentially some of the cups. I'm assuming that they are going to get Champions League next season, but I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to keep some of those players happy when there's less rotation opportunities potentially, because you can't play a weakened team in the Champions League. That would make no sense. I'm sure Chelsea fans would be too happy about that. So that potentially restricts them in. So then you're looking at maybe moving some of these players on after a season, and that's also a way to go about doing it. But the
so you are giving. You have given up the idea of Chelsea's chances of winning the league. Like they should think about the top four. I want to know. I want to. You know what? We get bipolar conversations every week. I don't think that it doesn't help. You know, like bipolar. They're in the league. Oh, they don't. I maintain this. I maintain that Chelsea, if the opportunity arises, February, March, yes. If you are 2, 3, 5 points behind Liverpool at that time, or Arteta, whoever, yes. But as of now, I still think Chelsea aren't. I give Chelsea 10% maximum chance of winning the league, assuming that if Liverpool fall off or Arsenal.
But
because you started talking about next season, Rack, already. You started talking about Champions League next season.
That was more from a squad perspective. If you want to talk about their position in the title race, my opinion has shifted a bit since they've dropped these 5 points, because I think a potential 5-point gap. Obviously we have this game in hand, so it wouldn't have actually been it would have been a potential 2-point gap anyway, or something like that. I think that's serious, regardless of whether you think that the team's up for it or not. It's possible to bridge that gap. All it takes is for a draw, and
now it's 7 with a game in hand, so potential 10 or
it's pretty much
potential 10.
I
think
it's Everton, so you can say it's 10 or 8.
It is
still a lot,
away, just for the same reasons. Yeah, for the same reasons that we just discussed. But if it was to stretch to double points, I feel like then you have to put those kind of, especially in the form that we're in, you have to put the odds of that happening in single figure percentages.
Yeah, I'd agree. By the way, I don't think any 2 weeks ago when people started to discuss whether or not Chelsea could potentially get close to Liverpool and close that gap, I don't think anyone saw these 2 results on the horizon and potential issues creeping in that I actually don't think people were aware of. I think actually what we've seen is Sean Dyche and Marco Silva actually find weaknesses that maybe even Maresca wasn't aware of that his team had. And you can't, if you can't see something, you can't sort of take that into your point of view and your evidence to form your argument or base your points on, right? So I think to say Chelsea were in a title race and to say they're out of it already is a little bit rash, but it's also not unrealistic because they're big points to drop when Liverpool are picking up points and are in the. I mean, they've got players in the form of their life.
When we come to Liverpool, I actually came to the realization that Liverpool have the best depth in the league. Actually, the most depth in the league. Yeah.
You really think that?
I'm going to explain to you in a second.
But these things always happen in hindsight, Mo. They always happen in hindsight. No one was saying this.
It is definitely in hindsight for me. Yeah. Listen, I'm someone who admits sometimes hindsight prove you right or wrong. And I don't see the future. I analyze what I see and I try to, this is how I'm a scientist. I analyze what I see. I try to predict the future. Sometimes things go different. Who knew that Gomez can fill in like he did? Who knew that Curtis Jones will rise like this? We didn't know that. You know what I mean? Like, who knew that Cody Gakpo will now start to get output? Because we all saw Gakpo over the season and a half. He's like kind of a good player, but he won't be like this yesterday. Where he was amazing. He was immense. By the way, who expected Mohamed Salah at the age of 32 to be already on 27 GA? These are unpredictable things. You know what I mean? You change your opinion. And by the way, for example, same as Chelsea. If anyone told you that Enzo Maresca, a coach that has 2 years of experience, has a mishmash squad or a brand new squad, young, will be second in the Premier League after 17 games, 7 points above Man City, you call me crazy. You're stupid. You would literally call me stupid. You're stupid. You don't know. City are 4-peat. They got Gundogan, they got Savinho, they got Pep Guardiola, and this guy Maresca is still an amateur. But here we are. Today, 7 points. And I told you so. No, you didn't tell me so. You were just hoping. You didn't tell me so or anything. You were just hoping. And that is the thing. My point about this Liverpool is that no Liverpool fan thought that Jones would be like this. Harvey Elliott will come. Harvey Elliott looked like he was never injured. He played yesterday. He looked like never injured. And that is what I mean. Like Conor Bradley playing well. And by the way, even Arne Slot himself, how quick does this guy adapt to the Premier League? No one knew.
Is the Chelsea section over? Or
not yet, because I got a couple of super chats I wanted to do. Guys, it's actually, by the time we did this, Luke, thank you so much. We're actually 550 people in the chat. So hit that like, guys, let's get to 200, 300 likes. Appreciate you so much. Brom Breaker is saying Lamine Camara from Monaco will be the next great 8 or a DM. My man, I do watch the French league. I know some people watch Monaco in the Champions League, but I know that he's sent that super chat before. So I went and did. The guy is really highly sought from top clubs. If Chelsea get this, I think it will make a difference. Imagine if they ship Dewsbury Hall and get someone like that. Okay. I have
a bit of an issue with that though, because I just feel like he's exactly the same sort of profile as Caicedo and Lavia. And maybe even Andre Santos as well, who's playing in the French league and arguably doing better than Kamara's doing. I just
he's 20 years old.
Yeah, well, how old's Santos? 20, 21?
Yeah.
I actually don't think. I mean, look, I can't control where Chelsea spend their money, but right now, this wouldn't be 22. This wouldn't be a priority for me, and I think honestly, if another team picks him up and he thrives, fair enough. I wouldn't mind it. I think Chelsea have bigger worries than signing another 20-year-old holding midfielder.
Someone had a comment. Dude got an issue with everything.
Is that me?
Yes. People,
I just have standards.
I love that picture. That picture.
That picture is amazing. It's actually fantastic. It's actually so great. Like Kishon, I just want to tell you something. Sometimes people analyze things different. People just don't accept it. And not everything is great. Replace Partey at Arsenal? Maybe. Because I think Declan Rice should be the 6. We're going to talk about Arsenal. I think Declan Rice should be the 6. Maybe if he's that. So maybe.
By the way, can I just say, in addition to having an issue with everything, I probably have a lot of issues with a lot of yesterday. But I think I've been pretty fair this season. I actually think I've been pretty patient with Maresca. I've given him opportunities after he's made mistakes to right his wrongs. Poch, I was on top of him straight away, but Poch came in as an experienced manager who we expected from straight away. Maresca, how can you expect from someone that hasn't got the experience and he hasn't built that base yet?
I also think one of the reasons Chelsea are doing well this season is I liken it a little bit to Klopp's first half season when he came in midway through, and we didn't make Europe, but we got to the Europa League final.
Yeah,
and actually, it was a blessing in disguise that we lost that Europa League final, because the following season we had a very thin squad and we got Champions League football on the last day of the season at home. I think it was to Middlesbrough. If we had Champions League football, any kind of European football, that 1 point would have been, I'm pretty sure, I think it was Arsenal maybe we beat to it, but I don't think we would have got Champions League football. And bear in mind, the following season we got to the Champions League final, and the following season after that we won it. I think it would have been, that whole situation would have been different. So the fact that Chelsea have got these two squads and they can basically solely focus on Champions League, on making the Champions League places this season, especially for a young squad, is probably the right way to go, and will stand them in good stead in the longer term, because they need to get experience. That you're right when you say football has been going on for 150 odd years, and people have been talking about needing some degree of an experience in your squad for a long time, because it's not played on paper. There are times when you're in the dumps and you need someone to pull you out, or you need a leader to kind of help you. And I don't think you can expect what's his name, the young centre back, the one who came through your academy,
Levi Colwill.
Levi Colwill. You can't expect him to be a Virgin van Dijk just yet, right?
They thought he will be.
Yeah, but maybe he will be.
Maybe he will be in 3, 4, 5
but
years'
you need
time.
that now. I think you get a next point
because they've got these two squads, and because they can split their resources between the Europa, the Conference League, and maybe they don't read it right now, and maybe the experience he gets this season with a little bit less pressure and a little bit less games, longer term holds him in good stead.
No, I see your point.
Just quickly, because I think you make a really good point there as
well. You don't have to
maybe
quickly.
With Levi Colwill, as much as I kind of agree with you, and my standards would be that have been imprinted me with Chelsea in the older generation with Roman Abramovich and how it worked, was that we would require that right now. And this is where I've kind of had to learn with the new ownership, is that I don't actually believe they're expecting Chelsea to be winning this season. So I don't think they believe we need it right now. And they're happy to give Levi Colwill 2-3 years to develop. And that's why I just don't feel the urgency from them. I think if we had these issues under Roman Abramovich, that no doubt we would go and recruit in January a centre-back, a goalkeeper. But I think they're willing to let this Chelsea team bide its time and simmer a little bit and see where it's slowly starting to head in a direction. And then they'll add more sensible recruitment options to it, which, look, I'm not sure I agree with that, but I think that's their methodology and that's the way they're going to go. And we've just got to see how it pans out, because I don't believe they're craving success at Chelsea right now this season. I'm not sure if they even believe it's attainable.
I don't know. Redline Taranga, thank you so much. He's a Senegalese. He's saying, as a Senegalese myself, Lamine Kamara's best position is probably more advanced 8. Watched him for a while. He's versatile too. So he suits Arsenal, because Arsenal need an advanced 8, a youngster to be the understudy, to play on the left side. But that will hinder Nwaneri. Thank you, Redline Taranga. Maybe Liverpool don't need an advanced 8 now. You need just kind of a 6 now at the current moment. So Liverpool are out of that race. And I see that you are still in Africa, my guy, Redline Taranga. So fantastic, actually. You're back home. Great.
Where is Taranga in Senegal?
It's Senegalese, yes.
No, but is Taranga? I don't know that place. So is that
Taranga is the Red Line of Taranga is in Senegal.
And where is Leopard Nation?
This
Liverpool.
Is why. That's Liverpool.
Oh, really?
You don't know that Leopard Nation. No, Leopard Nation rise. Sam created this cult. It's a cult now. It's called No Chest Leopard Nation Liverpool.
I was going to say,
Leopard Nation Liverpool.
My first reaction was to say it's not a cult, but that's obviously what someone who's part of a cult would say. So,
the first rule.
Yeah.
Exactly. But listen, there is one. Of course, he thinks of me as the biggest Liverpool gaslighter on the internet. I am. You know what I mean? I am. Tiranga means hospitality. Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Tiranga means hospitality. So the red line of the hospitality. Fantastic. You are, Mo. He's telling me you are.
Every day.
It's a saying. Okay, great. Oh, wallahi, we live, we learn. We learn something new. Thank you so much, people. Okay. I'm going to respond to this. The last thing I'm going to talk about Chelsea this. Mo, Chelsea under Maresca have exactly the same number of points after 18 games as they had in the last 18 games under Poch. This after the summer investment. So how have they improved? I'm going to actually ask Dan, have Chelsea improved?
Yeah, I think so. I think we have in terms of how we've gone about situations. I presume he means from Poch's last games to Maresca's first few games. So I think we need to judge where Maresca's at when he's had the same amount of time that Poch had for those games. You know, Poch took 20 to 25 games of being absolutely woeful, and I think at the same period of time, Maresca's like 13 points ahead or something. So let's see where we are end of the season. I think that's not a fair judgment to make because let's be real, Pochettino was horrific for his same amount of time. What are we in 15 to 17 games now? Pochettino probably had Chelsea in 12th place. I don't know the stats 100%, but we would have been around 11th, 12th. I think we were scrolling on Sky Sports app to see where we were on the table.
It's not actually a super chat, people. It's not. People say stupid. It's not actually a super chat. It's just a comment.
Yeah,
but I thought it's very interesting because I wanted to actually say one thing. The word improvement can mean a lot of things. One of them is that how a new coach can have a continuation of a great end of a season. Mikel Arteta couldn't have a continuation of last season. Jurgen Klopp in one season didn't have a good continuation of the season before. So to have a new coach and have a continuation of last season, because Chelsea in the last 16 games of last season were the third best team in the country. To have Enzo Maresca continue that work and build on it and utilize the new people in the team like Neto and have Jackson playing like this, it's actually a good improvement because not a lot of coaches will be able to continue on the good work that previous coach have done. If you want to consider Poch good or bad, the fact that Enzo Maresca with less experience, right, and better man management, if you want to call him that, has a good and less injuries now, have a continuation, that by itself is an improvement. But if you don't want to see because you're an Arsenal fan, it is up to you. It's completely up to you because I know you're an Arsenal fan. Our loss is all on Maresca, made one sub in 98 minutes, 4 subs in 3 games, and sat back most of the second half.
Yeah, that's the issue that seems to be creeping in is I'm not sure Chelsea fans believe Maresca trusts his squad. And considering how many players we have, he should be able to. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed and nipped in the bud now. Otherwise, I actually believe, like you were saying a second ago, that when we get to Champions League football, there could be major issues with rotation in this Chelsea squad and not being able to keep players happy. So we need to address it now. And if players aren't going to be happy fighting for positions, they need to be moved on.
Yeah. All right. So do you want to say anything about Chelsea? Can I ask? Was Chelsea gonna? Okay, people in the chat and Gunnar Souls. I'm just gonna ask the people in the chat, the Chelsea fans. Are Chelsea still gonna finish above Arsenal in the league?
I mean, we need to fix up our own ideas for that
in
to
the
not
chat,
happen.
Hold on. Before you are on the panel, so you're gonna elaborate, you're gonna talk, you're gonna expand on it. I need a yes or no from 700 people in the chat. You're an Arsenal fan, Chelsea fan, Liverpool fan. Will Chelsea finish above Arsenal?
Well, no, Chelsea will not finish above Arsenal, and the reasons behind that are, I mean, the form that we're in right now has to change at some point. Something's got to click. Something within Arteta's got to say, you know what, let's unleash the handbrakes. And we are one of probably the only clubs at the moment, other than Man City in recent times, who have gone on, incredible runs in terms of putting wins together, in terms of not losing games. I think last season it was something like in the calendar year we were 16 wins in 18 games. I just don't think Chelsea can do that yet. They haven't shown it. I mean, miracles in football can happen, and crazier things in football have happened where they could just go on this amazing run where they don't lose till the end of the season. But I just don't see that in this Chelsea team. I think they're too young, inexperienced. This is the first time that they're, in a situation where, and I don't think their goal is to compete. I know in football it's about winning trophies and stuff, but they should just have their goals as, look, let's get into the top 4. Recoup. We know what Enzo Maresca wants to do, and then go and recruit the right players or the missing pieces, like a goalkeeper, for example, maybe a centre back or whatever. But I just think we're more of a refined team, and we've got enough experienced heads to get us over the line, whereas at Chelsea haven't done that yet. They've been in a few finals with some of the crop of players that they've currently got, and obviously haven't won those finals. Same as us, we haven't got it over the line either. But yeah, I mean, it'd be embarrassing not to finish above Chelsea at the moment.
Be embarrassment not to finish above Chelsea.
It has to be.
Actually,
we're 5 years into a project. I mean, you can make an argument when a project starts, but they're 1 year into a manager's.
Can I ask you guys something? All of you, to be honest. Someone called me out and said that Mo on the Football Terrace said that if you are a player in January, in the current moment, and you were offered the same amount of money, you would join Chelsea above Arsenal. Same amount of money. Was I deluded?
You can't ask me this question because I'm going to be biased and say I'm going to join Arsenal.
No, I want you to be a little bit not biased. Maybe this is not game day debate where we're like after the games and this is like the rational talk.
All right, if I'm being honest.
Am I being deluded? I have reasons for it. I can elaborate, but I want your answer first, please.
Right, so you said everything's equal, right? So money-wise, everything's all equal. Right.
With the current moment.
The reason why I would join Arsenal is because there's more of a track record of them improving, whereas with Chelsea have been a bit yo-yo in terms of, yes, they may have had a good season, but their manager hasn't been consistent. So I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow at Chelsea, whereas with Arsenal, I mean, as bad as it may sound, Arteta's not going anywhere. So at least I know which manager I'm going to be playing under, whether people like that or not, but we know the owners are backing him and they're already making summer plans, which means regardless of what happens this season, as long as he doesn't completely fail, he's going to be given next season. Whereas with Maresca, I mean, it's difficult because Chelsea have just been too, I don't know what my brain's not working. It's the uncertainty of Chelsea that kind of makes you think again. So that's my reasons, even though I'm an Arsenal fan, and that probably does sway me a little bit, but that's my honest reasons to why I would join Arsenal.
Okay, I'm just gonna say something. The reality is,
but let's say they have 2 seasons like this, I'd actually be swayed.
No, but hold on. So I said in general.
Let's wait for the Chelsea fan, the Arsenal fan to make their case, then we can. I'm going to step into the judge shoes, and then we can decide.
By the way, that might say Arsenal. I don't know.
True.
But wait, give me the scenario again. So if I join, if I have the choice
today, Liverpool are leading the Premier League.
Arsenal
and Chelsea where they are today. It doesn't matter. You've been offered. It doesn't matter. You're a player that was offered now the same amount of money, a 5-year contract or a 4-year contract. You are 26 years old. You're not 20 years old. You're 26 years old. And Osimhen, an established footballer. You've been offered the project at Arsenal. You've been offered the project at Chelsea. It's today. Liverpool are leading the league by 9 points. You're offered to play under Arteta and then go about the season, or you've been offered the Chelsea project. Say, come in. I'm going to give you, do you want me guys to give you a realistic example? Both teams might go for a top striker. Victor Osimhen is offered same money. He's at 25 years old. He's going to be offered 4 years contract. You're going to Arsenal, or you're going to Chelsea. You're going to offer the same amount of money. And you're going to be here or you're going to be there. Both in London. Great place to live. Who are you choosing and why? Saul said Arsenal is more exciting. Go ahead. I'm not talking about 20 years old because you can sway someone at 20 years old mind with a lot of things. I'm talking about established for people in the chat. Please, I want to know.
The younger you get in the discussion, the more attractive Chelsea becomes.
All right.
I think the older you are, I think you'd look at Arsenal and think, okay, say you're 26, you've got 4-year contract. Are you more likely to win something earlier with Arsenal potentially, because of where the base level is and their starting 11? So, look, if I was Osimhen, I would probably be swayed by Arsenal, I have to say.
Do you want to talk about it, Rat, before we move on? Or I want to.
I do want to throw a caveat though, because as much as Arsenal are close to winning something, Chelsea have also come close to winning things like the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup. Now I know they're not the Premier League, but there's arguments to be made that why won't Chelsea win anything? It is actually.
I actually think we won't come as close this season to winning a trophy as we did last year.
Sometimes you have to take 2 steps back.
I think there was a lot of pressure on Pochettino to win those trophies because of the stature that he holds and the fact that he'd failed in England to win anything. Maresca doesn't have that pressure, and I think that's why he was almost willing to let us go out of the League Cup in the fashion that we did. And I just don't see the pressure being there for the FA Cup either now.
I'm going to say, go ahead, Rab. Go ahead.
So I would also choose Arsenal. I think the Chelsea project, after a lot of criticism last year, looks like it's turning around. The Winstanley and the other bloke that they've got in for recruitment, they got a lot of heat last year, but these players under the right system and maybe with a bit more stability, most of them, or I mean, recruitment, they say 50% of recruitment fails anyway, but looks like Chelsea have beat those odds with most of the players they've signed. Some of them are still questionable, but it's never going to be 100%. But I think at this point, I would have to go to Arsenal because I think they've got a solid base to build upon. I think they've proved over the last couple of years that they're close to winning. I don't want to have a dig at the Carabao or the FA Cup, but I think if the cards fall right, they're capable of winning any of the biggest tournaments. And I know a lot of people and a lot of fans of opposition fans will say this is not the case because they don't have any European pedigree. But Arsenal are one of the best teams in Europe. When you're one of the best teams in Europe, you're capable of winning the Champions League. Arsenal are capable of winning the Champions League, despite how most opposition fans will hate to say this, because we've been giving Arsenal so much stick over the last 20 years. If they won the Champions League, they would absolutely make our lives hell. And so they should. Because if you've been taking shit for the last 20 years, you deserve a right of response. But Arsenal are not a million miles away. Arsenal are closer than Chelsea. Especially if I was 26, I'd go there. And you can, the hole that people talk about Arsenal missing, if you're saying specifically a striker,
because Adi, I'm just giving an example of a player. It doesn't have to be that awesome, and I'm giving an example of an older striker that is established now. Here is my problem with all of you guys saying. The problem is that Liverpool are 9 points ahead of everyone. If Arsenal are actually close to Liverpool, I think that will play a massive factor about the players believing that this team will go and win this league. Why? I'm going to tell you why.
But there's still the champs to fight for, and there's still 2 other trophies to fight for.
Do you really believe? Would you sit here and tell me you believe that this Arsenal team will win the Champions League? If they are 9 points behind Liverpool, you guys think Liverpool?
They're not in a bad position.
No,
they're not.
Also,
I like Arsenal.
They have a very,
I think they're up and down.
And they have a very solid defense. Listen, again, I don't want it to happen. And 99%, well, maybe not 99%, but a lot of people don't want that to happen because for the reasons I've mentioned before.
But you believe they are deluded. They're just saying that Arsenal can win the Champions League this season.
But Mo, do you disagree that they are one of the best teams in Europe?
But don't forget, Mo, you've just made the scenario that we're signing a player. Clearly, that player.
I actually think Arsenal suited to win. I actually think Arsenal are suited to win the Champions League more than the league this season. Arsenal don't have a system that wins them every game. Arsenal can change the way they play. I just think they're way more experienced
on set piece goals alone.
But me and Hossam, by the way, me and Hossam disagree on this a lot. Sam thinks that the teams that win the Champions League are moments teams, and Arsenal don't have a lot of moments players. I think actually the teams that win the Champions League or reach finals are the most adaptable teams. That's why fucking Ancelotti won it that many times. He's so adaptable as a football coach. He's someone who can adapt within the game. Inzaghi, our coach, is very adaptable. Arteta's been adaptable. But the problem is with Arsenal, I'm not sure if they have the cojones to win the Champions League. I just don't know, bro.
That's the problem. It's a mental barrier.
You guys know the cojones is this. You guys know what I'm talking about, the cojones.
The Carabao Cup and the Champions League. All four
Real Madrid beat City because City didn't have the cojones.
Yeah.
That's the
Very
thing,
true.
basically. It's just about...
That's the problem about the way that the squad has been built, is that we do need that experienced head. That's someone that can just grab the game and make a moment out of nothing. Because when we go away to Europe, especially in the hostile environments, like we've been to Lons in the last sort of few years, and we lost there because they made it hostile. They made a whole
thank you.
Like tifos and all of this.
Porto, you scraped Porto, and you were way better. Yeah. As Drag said, you are on paper way better than Porto. You're one of the best teams in Europe last season. But it looked so equal because of the cojones shit. Because they have been in the Champions League for a while, and you haven't. And it was just very simple. Round the 16, they made it hostile. Your players are like, what is going on? What are we doing here? You just don't have it. It's just you have it. You build it with time. What I mean by you build it with time is that last season is going to play a factor in this season, because last season exit from Bayern Munich will play a factor in gaining experience. I'm a true believer in this.
But also Arsenal, because Arsenal don't have a history in Europe, people will say Arsenal have won the Champions League, they'll dismiss it. They've only been to one final in their 100-year history, they'll dismiss it, right? But if you take that context out of it, and some people will say you can't take it out, but ultimately, if I'm looking at the teams on the pitch, Arsenal have an extremely solid defense when they've got their full team out, and they can defend a clean sheet in almost anywhere they go. Now, is that enough? Maybe, maybe not. But we've seen teams in the past with solid defenses. Your Inter team in 2010 had a very, very resolute defense, right?
Yeah, but we had players that. We had Eto, who won a triple the year before. You get me the point.
I know. I'm not
Jose as well.
But what I'm saying is that the foundation, I would say, and maybe do you disagree? The foundation for that Champions League win was the solidity of your defense. The fact that you went away to Barcelona, the great Barcelona team, and kept a clean sheet in the Camp Nou, right?
We lost 1-0 though. We lost 1-0.
Okay, 1-0. 1-0.
Yeah, but I get your point. We defended for 90 minutes with 10 men. We defended for 90 minutes with 10 men. Yes.
Also, if you look at Liverpool, right, the difference between them losing it and winning it was Van Dijk and Alisson. They reinforced their defense, and the next season they went on to win it.
So back to the point of Liverpool and Chelsea. I think the problem with me, if I'm a player, I'm looking at one thing. Well, if Arsenal don't win the league this season, reality speaking, the beginning of next season, who's closer to win a major? Is it Chelsea or Arsenal?
So you're talking Premier League and Champions League only?
Bro, listen, I'm just telling you people. I promise you, big players don't go to win the cups, bro. Nobody does.
Okay, no, I just want to
you guys are in England assume that. I'm telling you.
No, I know
you get
that.
my point, right? No one is getting to
I'm making sure you mean those two.
Because Rak is like, I don't want to disrespect the cups. Rak, the reality is, if you're asking to get, for example, if you're asking Leroy Zani, he's not going to be sold on you winning the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. You get my point.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I mean. They're going to win the big two. They're going to win the
big
League
two.
of the Champs.
People don't like. This is why I'm like, it's a second fiddle competition. We have to accept that.
It's a major trophy, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, I get what your point, but the big players from outside of England, especially, are not looking at it. I'm like, I'm going. The fruit of a project cannot be an FA Cup, guys. Can we just establish this?
I mean,
especially for big teams.
The reality is, right, is that Chelsea need to guarantee that top four first. Whereas at Arsenal,
yes.
I mean, you're looking at it on paper and saying, you know what, if anything, they're not going to drop out of the top four. Whether they win the league title this year or not is a different conversation. So I'd say on the basis of that, we've got 2 in 4 chances of winning something, whereas they might have 1 in 2 because they may make the Champions League or they may not make it. So on that basis, I'd say Arsenal are more likely to, but also we've been the closest to winning it and also showing the level of form and to some degree resilience that's required to actually compete to the very end. Whereas with Chelsea, let's see, they may compete this season, which turns the tide. And you can ask me in the summer and the conversation's different.
I think if Arsenal get closer to Liverpool, I actually think they might win the league. I know we haven't spoken about Liverpool yet. We're speaking about Arsenal, but it's just someone commented on my video and kept saying that I flip-flop and I said Chelsea are more attractive. I still think if I'm a player, based on the current situation, because I actually said that Arsenal, after 5 years, your project has to bear fruit, and the fruit cannot be a cup. It has to be a big competition. Arteta will be under pressure at the end of the season. He has to be. I mean, you guys are saying it's an embarrassment if Chelsea finish above us.
Yeah, but the fan base, yes, but the owners are clear. Like they don't, or even the sporting directors and stuff like that.
If the ground going fan base turn on Arteta, they will sack him.
They won't. I know a lot of them, and they're willing to give him more time.
The biggest asset of these guys are the people that go to the stadium. If everyone in the stadium is the majority of the stadium, Man United ownership kept Ten Hag because people wanted him to stay.
The match-going fans aren't going to turn on Arteta anytime soon. One of my friends has a season ticket holder, probably my best friend, and he's been going the stadium 20 years. And he said, if they don't win anything by the end of next year, then it might be time. So they're willing to give him
It's always next year. It's really Patrice everything. It's literally next year. You just said exactly what has been said last year and the year before.
But that's the match-going fans, so that's what I'm trying to say to you. Like, they're not going to turn on him. Because what you've got to understand, right, these match-going fans have not just been going for 1 season, 2 seasons. These guys have been going for 20, 30, 40 years. It's been handed down by families. And this is the first time, right, there's ever been a belief that we can win a major trophy in 2 decades. They're not going to easily turn on that because we're so close. The thing is, we're very close to winning something. And sometimes you just need to persevere 1 more season and then you go, okay. Because the reality of the matter is, right, fans like myself, we're looking at that summer window and going, are you going to address the key situation? Because this season, a lot of people are angry at the board for not addressing a striker or a winger, not bringing in a bona fide, game-changing attacker. Because Sterling isn't that. But if they had gone and gotten, I don't agree with this, but if they had gone and got Nico Williams, for example, that's a seismic move. That's a move that a lot of people are looking at, and he was guaranteed to go to Barcelona.
You'd be regretting it now, though, because he's been woeful this season.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't agree with it. I
actually don't think that he would have been awful at Arsenal. Wallahi, then.
No.
I actually believe. I don't think it's.
Unless
I don't think he would have
corners, he wouldn't have been that impactful.
No, of course. No. But what the point I'm making is the intent behind it. Like, they're going out there to get the biggest talents, like going and getting an Osimhen, go and get a Gyökeres, go and get a, like one of these like talents where you can't really deny that they aren't a big coup. Because we haven't really done that. Other than Declan Rice, we haven't really gone out there to get the biggest names. We've kind of penny pinched.
You did. Kai Havertz, £65 million.
But is he a big name, though?
He's one of the biggest names in the Premier League. He literally is the upcoming rising star of Germany when Chelsea bought him. He spent £70 million on a 20 years old.
He won a Champions League. He scored the match-winning goal in the Champions League final.
Well, you've got to put it into perspective.
I'm telling you, Souls, when Arteta signed Havertz, he saw a big player in Havertz. He didn't sign him because of...
Yeah, what Arteta sees. I'm talking what the...
But he's your manager.
No. It doesn't matter, because if we don't see it as a big signing or an ambitious signing, it doesn't matter what the manager thinks.
You guys just told me the fans don't matter. It's what the manager and the owners see. And now you're turning and saying that the fans
You
see.
said the fans don't matter. I said the fans
You guys said if
don't
the fans turn, it won't matter. They won't sack him.
They won't. No, I've just said the match-going fans aren't going to turn on him. That's what
You never know. You never know.
No, because I know a lot of them, and they've already said...
Bro, I never thought that Old Trafford people will send letters to keep Erik ten Hag. They did. It took one game. You
can see that coming. Because you can see the match. This is the difference. So you can see what you're seeing, right, is the YouTube and the Twitter fans. The match-going fans are completely different.
Yeah, I mean, I do. Dan is a match-going fan. Rory is a match-going fan. I do shows with match-going fans.
Yeah, but you're talking about a Chelsea fan. You're not talking about United ones. I live in Manchester. I know a lot of the season ticket holders, and I'm not surprised that.
Okay.
I'm talking about the locals as well. I'm talking about people who live in Manchester who have been...
I know you live in Manchester, and you're a better barometer than all of us. So.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, like, this is why I'm saying, like, match-going, like, in any stadium, right? And by the way, this is not me making the armchair and match-going fans, like, debate. All I'm saying is match-going fans are completely different. You'd be very surprised, right? If you think I'm deluded, you should see some of these match-going fans. They will not criticize.
We see some of the AFTV takes, which is fucking weird.
They do not criticize it at all. Like, I'm talking, because you'll see the minority of them being on social media. A lot of these guys don't even have Twitter. They won't have social media.
But Potts is a match-going fan. Lee Judges is a match-going fan. Me and Dan work with a lot of match-going fans.
Yeah, minorities though. You're talking literally handful of people. You're talking a 60,000 stadium, and you're talking about a few individuals.
I speak to judges, and they will tell me about people they've spoken to who have also been to the games, and they'll have different varying opinions to each other. I think we're brandishing people with one brush here, and I just don't. There are definitely Arsenal fans. There are Arsenal fans who have season tickets that aren't happy right now with Arteta, with the way the club's been run.
But they're not going to start bannering out and getting Arteta out. There might be murmurs and they might be questioning him. Yes, 100%. I don't disagree with that. But I'm talking like wanting a manager.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't your fan base literally put up banners for your most successful manager ever?
Yeah, but how long did that take? That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, but it still shows that your fans are capable of doing that, and that's
capable. But will they do it? Not yet.
Well, yeah, they will because they did it. If they did it to Arsene, they'd do it to anyone.
Yeah, but where's the signs of them doing it? Because if they wanted to do it, they'll do it now. but they're not doing it.
No, I don't think. I think now is too soon. I think now.
Exactly
I think this is the season. I think if you go one more, I think that'll be a step too far. I think you have to. Arsenal fans are waiting for a reaction, and they're waiting for January. If January doesn't go well, and Arsenal do not close the gap to Liverpool, I guarantee it starts.
Yeah.
No,
And also, what I'd say is
questioning the manager and questioning the board and wanting the manager out are two different things.
I just think Arsenal have gone I think Arsenal didn't do enough in the transfer window, and I actually think Arsenal might have gone a season too long with Arteta.
But also, will they blame the manager or will they blame the board? Because
I think you blame both. I think both are equally responsible.
Yeah, maybe Mikel Arteta makes a decision about who is going to be his boss.
Yes, but
you're telling me
no. But he's not the one going out. But he's not the one going out there and actually making the signings happen.
Yeah, he's vetting them. Isn't he vetting them?
What I'm saying
Arteta is the one going out.
I want X, Y, and Z player. But if the board don't go out and get him X, Y, and Z player, it doesn't matter what he says.
But he's also the one going out there making Arsenal play in a way this season that hasn't been good enough so far.
That's a different argument, but you're saying January window.
That's not just January window, is it? Because you could sign 3 more players in January, and the manager may still have you playing in a way that isn't exactly going to win you the league. I think both are to blame. I ultimately don't think you did enough in the summer in terms of recruitment, and I ultimately think that Arteta this season has been a level below where he's been for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I just don't think they're turning on him because from the majority of the ones I've spoken to, they're not at the point of going into the stadium and making it toxic enough for them to sack him. Because it's not going to be 1 or 2 people saying on social media, we want the manager out. That's not going to ever happen. But for it to happen, I'm talking banners have got to come out. It's got to be like you're leaving games early.
I just think there's a case that Arteta is going to approach Southgate territory pretty soon. And I just think you're going to be you're going to be stuck there with him. And you're going to think, oh, we should have got rid of him a tournament before or a season before. I can just see it happening.
Oh, wow. I did not see that comparison coming.
I said, this isn't going to be a forever thing. Like I said, I'm even as a fan, right, I'm willing to give him next season. And that's it. After that, I am done. Because if you can't fix it in 6 seasons, it's never going to happen. But this season,
I'm sorry. Stop. What makes it 6 now 5? What is that?
Exactly. That's exactly what I mean.
What is it? By the way, in the Quran, every religion, it's number 7. Then why don't we make it 7?
No.
In every religion, it's 7.
Yeah. The reason why I think give him another season, I wanted Edu out first. That was my biggest problem. I didn't really like the approach that Edu takes in the transfer windows. I don't like the way he approaches clubs to sign players. That's not the way I feel like a big club should move. And now that he's gone and we replace him with whoever it is that comes in, I feel like now there's no excuses because now in the transfer window, we should be more ruthless. We should be getting those bigger signings in. And if we're still not able to do it, then clearly there's a problem with the manager or the board that needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, at that point, you've got to get rid of the manager. That's why I'm giving him 1 more season under a new director of football.
Listen, I don't know. My problem is, bro, I've been labeled an Arsenal hater because I keep asking one question. What is the fucking threshold for a manager? And they keep telling me next year. And I've heard this same every year. No, and it's not about you explained it. Listen, let me just tell you. You explained it very well. You said you want Edu out.
Yeah.
Don't you think that Edu wanted the best for the team? No. From his point of view, okay, you're telling me that the sporting director that worked with Arteta, that is friends with Arteta, doesn't want the best for the team.
No. He wasn't ruthless enough. This is what I'm saying. Like, his approach was he wanted to keep the relationships quite happy and like free, rather than just getting the business done. Sometimes you just have to get shit done. This guy is all about. He wants to make everyone his boyfriend. It ain't about relationships here. We need to get shit done sometimes.
On a sporting director, I genuinely believe, and I think this can be for a number of clubs, the majority of them believe more in their own success in their own careers than they are bothered about the success of their football club.
So what are you saying?
I think Edu cared more about his own career than he did about Arsenal's success.
100%. He used
but yes, he's not a coach. At the end, I get what your point. At the end, when the guy was offered a bigger job at Nottingham Forest, he's like, I'm out.
Exactly.
I want the bigger job.
Ultimately, you think about it, it's an administrative job, right?
Yeah.
So in that context, if you're a secretary or an accountant or something like that, or working finance or whatever the case may be, and you get offered a job a bigger company or a better role or more responsibility or whatever, even if it's maybe a smaller company, you'd go there, right? You're not on the pitch there. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. Of course, there is some glory. Edu obviously worked at Arsenal and all that kind of stuff. Maybe he wants to be the long term, the CEO of.
Of course, he wants to be a CEO at the end. Yeah. That's the ultimate goal, to run a football
maybe,
club.
Say, for example, he wants to be the CEO of the City Football Group, where they've got a multi-club model and they've got like lots of clubs, and it's a big overarching role. Maybe this is now he's gone from Arsenal to a smaller multi-club model with Forest and the French club or whatever, and then maybe that's what he sees as next step or something. I don't know. I mean, it's not the same.
Yeah, I don't think the sporting director. Listen, unless you get Marotta from Inter, I think all sporting directors are the same. The only guy in the modern history that changed fortunes of football clubs is this guy without money. The only guy, but that's just different. He literally made Juventus reach 2 Champions League finals with free signings, without money. So, because if the owners, as you say, are not offering a lot of money, okay, the new sporting director will have his hands tied down his neck as well.
Arsenal? Are we talking about Arsenal?
Yes.
The money's never been a problem. Under the KFC.
See, these are the conflicting reports then. In one hand, people say Arsenal are doing the bare minimum. Let me finish and then you can respond. People are saying on one hand, a lot of Arsenal pundits or Arsenal, the people that go like to games and even the people that do the analysis, they say Arsenal owners do the bare minimum to get the team close or top 4. They won't go the extra mile like a City group, right? Which is same for Liverpool, by the way. You have to work with limited resources, right? But you, on the other hand, are saying the money was never a problem. But we've been told different by every single analyst.
Mo, a club, in the last 5 years, we have spent close to £800 million. You tell me money has been tight. That's ludicrous. But anyone who says that is lying to themselves. That's not doing the £800 million in 5 years. That is one of the top spenders in the league in the last 5 years, and you're telling me they're doing the bare minimum. Now, if you go out there, right, and buy
that, by the way, that is the bare minimum for you to be where you are now, because you were 8 before they're spending that much money, so you weren't going to make Champions League money.
That's not backing the club. That's not an ownership that isn't backing the club. That's an ownership giving you the resources to go and do what you need to do. £800 million is more than enough to compete. It's more than enough going and
you competed. You competed.
Yeah,
but they didn't go out last summer and spend the extra 100 million for whatever reason to get that extra difference maker that we know that you needed.
That's why the money was there. We're stupid to just keep going for players who don't want to join us. Vlahovic didn't answer his phone for 2 weeks, and the whole January window, we were constantly going for a guy who was airing us. Nico Williams, how many goddamn times, right, does one man have to tell you, I want to join Barcelona, for you to not get the fucking hint that he does not want to join? That's not on KSC. You can't blame the owners for incompetent, retarded staff. You can't do that. That's stupid. Like, if someone's literally, if a girl is telling you, I don't want you, and you keep pursuing her, who's the idiot? The girl or the man? Who's the stupid one? Like, if a company sits there, right, and tells you you're not going to join us, and you keep turning up to work, and they fired you, and you keep turning up, who's the idiot? Not the company, it's you. Why are you turning up? So as soon as you've been aired, as soon as you've been blanked, move.
Imagining how that would work in practice.
Yeah, in real life, you're showing up and mate, you don't work here.
Mate, you were fired 2 weeks ago. Yeah, but
I thought I would show up. I might get paid.
Yeah, like exactly. Like, why are you constantly going for something that doesn't want you? Like, move on. Like, get on.
Yeah, so why don't you move on from Arteta? Because I think Liverpool are in a position with Klopp where they've now moved on from Klopp, who obviously brought them a lot of success, and they're now arguably in a better position than they were with one of their best ever managers as well. So I don't see why Arsenal fans have got all this loyalty towards Arteta, who's not won you anything really, bar an FA Cup.
You know what it is? He's transformed what Arsenal like. He's made Arsenal what we loved Arsenal to be.
Yeah, okay, but why do you need to pay him or give him all this time for something he might not actually be able to do? Maybe he was just an expert at bringing Arsenal back to what it should be.
But I feel like the reason is, right, like, for me, I'm not speaking for Arsenal fans before everyone jumps on me and says he doesn't speak for me. The reason I'm giving him time, right, is because I don't see a decline. I actually see us moving forward now. I understand the start of the season hasn't shown that.
This season, Sols.
No,
Let's be real here. There's been a decline.
It hasn't shown that yet, right?
What?
But he can turn this around. He's shown it before. He can turn it around, and he can go.
Okay, hang on. Wait, 1 second before we go any further. 1 sec, because I want to hear the rest of your points. The last 2 seasons, you have been competing against Manchester City to win the Premier League. No one else in front of you, but just City. You are now currently today 4th in the table with Forest, Chelsea, and Liverpool above you, and Manchester City is 7th. How has there not been a decline? And how has it not showed yet? Mo?
No, because the season hasn't finished yet, innit? So, like, if we're looking at a decline, and let's say we go into
the season doesn't have to finish to show decline.
Okay, but if we win the Premier League this season, is that a decline?
You won't win it. You're what?
What if we do? There's still a possibility.
I just it's pretty much a 9-point gap, 10-point gap. Looking at it there,
I know Liverpool have changed their manager, so the perception of last season to this season isn't going to match. But we have turned over a 9-point deficit before, so what's to show that we can't do it again?
Because and also, you've declined.
But who said? But the season isn't done yet.
I haven't seen, but Dyer was one of the guys who was touting this turnaround thing a few weeks ago. I don't know if that turnaround thing still applies or not. But obviously, the way we're playing is a bit different. The start to the season we've had a bit different. Right now, we've only lost 1 game. Look, I understand the point you're making, though, Sauls. I understand what you're saying. It's not over till it's over.
No, I'm just saying, look, we don't know when it, like, because let's say, for example, we go into.
But hold on, but Dan is not saying to start questioning him today. No one is saying that. We are saying, does it look like it's going in the right direction this season or not? Just ask yourself this.
Yeah, why are you willing to give him that patience and that time? That's what I want to know, because I don't see how he's earned it, really.
No, but that's because you're.
I don't think you understand. I understand this, by the way. I can answer this very easy, Dan. And Rory answered it to you many times.
All right, go on then, you do it.
I'm just going to tell you this.
I've asked Rory a few times.
Let me remind you of Rory's answer. And Rory's answer is very sufficient, actually, guys. Because Rory has a season ticket and he goes to every game. He said, I go to every game now, knowing that I'm favorites to win this game. And I go to enjoy the football and win the game. That hasn't happened for the last 10 years under Wenger. So that's why we like Arteta. He turned the fortunes of the club around. This is why we're still holding to the hope that he will be the guy to take us to the promised land, because we want to have this feeling every year where I'm going to games winning. While before, used to go to games not knowing, are we winning? Are we going to be the better team on the pitch? They say even now when we lose, we never get battered. We most likely we win at home. We are the best team on the pitch. Most likely we're attacking, we're doing this. He said that is Arteta's work. And I agree with him. By the way, I absolutely agree with him, because these guys pay £3,000, £4,000 a year for their season ticket to go and have a good experience. And this is what Arteta provided them. Us. But
to add to your point, we can definitely see that there's a certain lack of quality now. Yes, you can blame Arteta for not recruiting right and getting Kai Havertz instead of a Gyökeres or a Sesko or a Osimhen or whatever, right? But you can clearly see that, like, if we just bring in like maybe 1 or 2 more players in that attacking lineup.
Habibi, the problem, can I interject and say before you continue? This has been said for 2 seasons now. That is the problem.
But now
it's the same conversation.
Mo, can it ever be true? Do you think that if you keep saying it's impossible?
No.
But that's also not. It can happen.
What is more likely? If you keep saying the same thing over and over, it's not happening. Okay, but will it happen once? It might.
No, right. I'm about to answer that question. No. I know. I'm about to answer that question. Before, right, when we've said it, there's been other problems as well. Like, we've had to address parts of our defense, we've had to address parts of our midfield. Now, you can make the argument whether the midfield still needs addressing or not, but now it should be our core focus. The core focus should now be the attack. There isn't nothing else to focus on. I don't think the midfield needs to be invested in. If anything, a £20 million, £30 million player will suffice. What we need to do is go heavy on the attack only. So even if Arteta goes out there, right, or the board or whoever goes out there and gets me a striker or a winger, I'll be more than happy with that window. And I'm talking a bona fide game-winning attacker. If that is all we do, I'll be more than confident we go and win the league. But if we do,
you know how much money you spent on the attack over the past only 2.5 years? Only 2.5
Not a
years
lot.
without this. Jesus, 40 million pounds. Kai Havertz, 65 million pounds. Trossard, how much? So you literally over the past 3 years, you bought 3 players.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how much Liverpool got Gakpo over the past 3 years? Gakpo, Diaz, and Nunes.
Yeah.
It's the same, bro. It is the same. The problem is recruitment, guys. It's going out to get the right people, which is gonna go back to, was the Kai Havertz signing correct?
I think he's done well for us. My more focus, I've always said, is the left wing. I don't actually think we need a striker.
You already bought Trossard for the left wing to back up Martinelli.
Yeah, but as a backup, I'm talking about we need a striker starting. I've said this in the summer. I've said this last season. My focus is left wing. I need a left winger who can actually change the game.
I still think you need a striker, bro. You need a difference. I think you need someone that will be up there and the oppositions will fear them. You don't have that guy. Kai Havertz is not that guy. He's not.
I think Kai Havertz is a signing you make once you've already got a squad that's capable of winning.
Oh, brilliant. It's not building.
I agree. I think you went too soon with Havertz. If you'd have bought a striker then, and then you bought Havertz 3 seasons down the line, I think it would have been a really good signing. I just think you've done it in reverse. And that's where I have huge issues with Arsenal's. The way Arsenal have put together their squad, I actually think is potentially a sackable offence. I really do. I think it's really poor.
I thought there's only one striker.
I think
if they invested in Isak instead of Kai Havertz, I think that squad is perfect.
No, and that's why, Mo, that they didn't do that, and they've also left it to the case that there's 1 to 3 players that if they're not in their team, their squad is not good enough. Like their replacements are not good enough. The manager doesn't trust them. We saw it with Odegaard, we saw it with Saliba, and we'll probably see it with Saka. If those players are absent, their team has serious question marks around it. Being able to get the results.
But you can make that argument with a lot of squads. That doesn't make it a sackable offence. Look at
Man City. If you're going to win Premier League titles.
We're going to talk about Liverpool depth soon.
Yes, we're talking about like one player in the Man City squad that's really missing. And look at the decline they've had.
So yeah,
but they recruited horrible over the past 4 years.
I would also say Manchester City squad building is a sackable offence as well. I think both.
But even if we look at so what about Liverpool
to build a squad good enough to win Premier League trophies?
My point is, when you have a player that's good, it's hard to replace. Who of Saka's caliber is going to sit on the bench?
No, we had this discussion on
I know, but who of Mo Salah's
caliber? Both of you actually, we all had this. The 3 of us had this discussion.
I know, but who of a Rodri standard is going to sit on the bench? This is what I'm saying. The standards are always going to drop to some degree.
We've had this.
You are going to have to take a hit.
Discussion.
No, I know, and I agreed with a lot of what you said, but the problem is you're not gonna. I know, but let me finish on that. But what I'm saying is you're not gonna always be able to get like for every single position. You're not gonna get another Odegaard. Yes, in some positions, yes, I agree. But now, for me, I think Martinelli on the right hand side will suffice while Saka's out. Now, what we need to do is be ambitious in the window and actually show a bit more ambition now that he is injured.
Wait, hang on. Martinelli, on what basis do you have to say you think he'll suffice? Saka's out for what, 8 weeks?
We had this conversation. I said he's a stupid player.
I don't think we had this one. I don't think you. I don't know if you said Martinelli would suffice. If you did, I'm sorry for not remembering it. But we now need to have this conversation.
The reason why is because Martinelli's a stupid
Martinelli to show you that he will be good enough to replace your best player.
Because he's a stupid footballer, you give him less to think about and he'll actually perform. The more you give him to think about, because on that left-hand side, right, he's got options. You don't give him options. Just tell him to do one thing. You've got one button on your controller. That's all you're allowed to press. All the other ones are broken. They don't work. Yeah, just yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you just give him nothing else to think about, and you just tell him, get to the byline, cross the ball. Get to the byline, cross the ball. That's all you have to do.
But look at the output you're losing through Saka not being there. Martinelli will not suffice. Because your attacking output is so limited from... all right, Jesus in the last couple of games has been unbelievable, but your attacking output will be massively hindered by Saka not being in this team. I don't think Martinelli will suffice. I really don't.
One game, so we don't know yet. Well, even that, he played for a bit of it.
Unless it's more luck than judgment, and he goes to the right hand side and he actually thrives. I honestly, I just don't.
Actually, agree with Souls.
What, Mo? You're one.
I'm gonna
just
let me tell you. Let me explain to you. That goes hand in hand with what I said to you, Dan. That Arsenal are not in a place to get the sufficient backup that you, Dan. The problem with you, Dan, you have very high standards of these clubs. My problem with you is that the difference between me and you in discussion is I don't think Arsenal can convince a top player that look at themselves to come and sit on the bench. We will disagree on this forever, Dan. So this is why I agree with Sos. I think Martinelli is a backup player. He's just a backup player. He can be a squad as a backup player. I don't think Arsenal can go and convince a top player to come sit on the bench. Now the chance is here. Saka's injured for a while. You can now go. This is why January is key for Arsenal.
Yeah, but
go
Mo,
now and spend the money. Go ahead.
Do you not think? Well, I hear what you're saying, and I kind of.
You know, if you're Man City, Dan, and you win titles, you can literally convince Riyad Mahrez to come and battle for his place.
Yeah, right. I hear that, but Arsenal at the same time they signed Jorginho off the back of a season after winning the Champions League. They signed Partey. They signed Declan Rice. They've signed Marino. They've got Odegaard who plays in centre midfield. That's 5 players that are arguably of a very good standard or just off it, but nowhere near.
Being pushed out. Partey was there when we didn't have anyone, and it was already.
But you've attracted that many players in one position.
Yeah, Declan Rice was a guaranteed starter, so your starters are going to be Thomas Partey, Odegaard, and Rice. The rest of them.
Moreno knows that he's coming to fill. It was very obvious that Moreno's coming in to fill.
You've still gone after players.
He's not a top talent though. He's not a Rice.
What players? Dan, what players? Tell me the players that Arsenal went to. Sisco. Young player.
Well, I mean, you'd rather have Sesko than not have him with how
100%. Now we agree. Sesko, for example, is not an established footballer, so it was easy to tell Sesko, come into Arsenal, battle for your place. Martinelli.
I just think that Martinelli is I don't think he was a few seasons ago, but I think he's regressed so much in recent years that he's a level below the type of players we're talking about being squad depth for Arsenal now. I just think if you look at the players that are in Arsenal's dressing room that are considered squad depth, Calafiori, Timber, Ben White, they're players that are competing for a place. You're looking at the midfield, Jorginho, Partey, they're not nailed on, that they could rotate. You're looking at Marino, obviously, potentially rotating in and out of the team. Havertz now is a player that's potentially being used in centre midfield. I think Martinelli is a level below that now. And I actually think you need to recruit someone a level above Martinelli that is...
yes, you're right. Might be, not bad. But I don't think that Kudus, for example, will go to Arsenal and battle for his place, unless he's guaranteed a
start. You don't think he would? I don't know. Why not?
Wait, which play is this?
Kudus. If they go to Kudus and tell him you're going to come in and be a backup for Saka, he will say no. I will have better options.
They would never tell him that. They wouldn't say you're going to be a backup, but they're going to say there's an option for you to get into this Arsenal team, and that they'd allow him to play.
He will back him. He will back himself. Yes, he will back himself.
Right. That's what I always believe.
But the problem is always is like they will ask the coach, "Where do you see me, coach? Left or right?" Well, I see you on the right side, coach, but you have Saka there. Can I play on the left? Well, yes. Now he's like, yes. But if you're like, I see you as a right winger, coach, but you have your best player plays on the right side. Where am I getting if you're playing left? You have to prove yourself, my man, to come into the team. And they're like,
there's only 2 teams in the world that I think probably are capable of having like unbelievably world-class players happy to be rotated in and out of the team, or not necessarily happy, but they'll accept it to an extent. And I think that's probably Manchester City and potentially now Real Madrid with their front line. I think that's probably it. I
actually think there is other clubs.
Maybe
Bayern Munich.
Yeah,
yes,
maybe.
yes.
Are they at the highest level?
Bayern Munich, for example, as an establishment, have this luxury, bro. For some whatever reason, they always had this luxury. Rak will tell you, back in the days, even the Salah Hamidzic days, they always had backups that are as good as the starters, and they used to play and rotate. For some whatever reason.
Because what they do, their recruitment strategy was that they'd sign the best players from their league and the best players from Europe.
Yeah, and I'm like, this Bayern Munich thing is just weird, bro. They would be like, because they win all the time, the league, so they have this luxury. Arsenal don't. That is the thing. Let me do this super chat because we move on. It's a lot of them that are related to what we're saying. And Nguni say luck is a big factor in cups, including UEFA Champions League. So Nguni, let me ask you something. Do you think winning the Champions League is harder than winning the league? Or the other way around? And I want someone to answer me this.
I think
and don't put Pep Guardiola in the equation.
No. So I think in a league, you have to be at a consistently high level, right? In the cups, you can have higher peaks, but you can also drop below that level on some occasions as well. So there's more room for variation, potentially. But when you have to be on it, you have to be at 100%.
Yeah. The room for error is smaller in the cups.
Games without being 100%.
But the room for error in the cups are zero. Like Man City, it took 10 minutes of lapse of concentration. You just lost. You're out. You're done. You're finished. Chelsea, you remember the Real Madrid game, Dan? It took 10 minutes of loss of concentration. You're out. You're done.
I don't think we're ever going to get a right answer because, like, if you look at Zinedine Zidane, he's actually said it himself as well. The league is harder to win than winning a Champions.
They're just different types. They're just different types of difficulty. One, you have to be at a consistently high level, but other times, like for example, we went and beat Barcelona, a very, very good Barcelona team. That peak was higher than any individual game, I think, that season, but we didn't win the league.
It took that good of a Barcelona team, a lapse of concentration, and then they're out.
But
But then you can spin it the other way, that Leicester were able to be consistent enough to win a Premier League, but they were never good enough to win a Champions League at the same time.
Antonio Conte came in and said, here's a system that will win me against 15 out of the 19 teams. I won the league.
And then look at him in the Champions League. Conte just fails every season.
Yeah, he's just consistent. Tony here is saying, let's go through this quick. We are too nice. We need someone to do the hard tackles and be nasty sometimes. All winning teams have the anger, arrogance about them. Come on, you goodness.
Duran, 60 million.
Kahunas. It's called kahunas. It's called... Yeah, I agree. It's bro, it's called that I'm just the angry player, the player that will, like, it is my game. You know what I mean? Like, F all of you. This is my game. I'm winning this game now. That player, Arsenal... Maybe it's only Bukayo Saka sometimes. But Man City had tons of these guys, to be honest, when they won the treble. Chelsea, Drogba, Lampard. I'm just going to say, Malouda was nasty, if I remember. Like some of these guys.
Chelsea were ruthless. Chelsea had...
John Terry, Carvalho, Michael Essien. It was nasty team, you know. By the way, I'm going to take Van Dijk, Fabinho, Salah, Mane. It's like, bro, get out of the... You know that players that get out of the way? This is it. That is what Arsenal needs. So, Tony, you're spot on. I have a feeling Chelsea will poach Isak.
How old is he?
He's not 26. Old. He is not old.
He's 26.
I don't know. You can check it while you're here.
Yeah, I would have said around 25, 26, I think, off the top of my head. I think
he's been around, right? He's been to Dortmund, he's been to Sociedad, obviously he's been to Newcastle, so he's...
Yeah, I like him. I definitely would take 25. I would take him.
25 people answered, said 25. Oh. So that is an experienced forward.
Is he a similar
I would rather
profile
Chelsea
to,
have Isak. Some Chelsea fans will say, oh, we want the younger one. No. Go get the 25 years old today. You have Jackson. You have Palmer. You have Madueke. Go get that guy.
So he'll be 26 in September. So effectively, at the start of next season, he's going to be 26. And he's also going to cost 120 million from Newcastle. So
fantastic. No, but
should Chelsea do it? Maybe. Will they do it? I don't know. With the model they have at the moment.
It's G. Just scrap Arsenal as a big club, because what big clubs would have given a scrub like Arteta time for not winning since his first season? Arteta is to shit, and our fan base has the mentality of Spurs. It's a big accusation. I'm just going to tell you, SG. Arteta did very good work. By the way, I'm just going to say this on record here on December 27th, before this year ends. Even if Arteta doesn't win the league and he gets sacked, I will never sit here and say Arteta did a bad job, by the way. We will not rewrite history. People shouldn't rewrite history. He built this team to compete back-to-back seasons and have Rack, who's one of the most rational Liverpool fans, say Arsenal are one of the best teams in Europe. That is Arteta's work, by the way. So we're not going to rewrite history here. Then this Arsenal fan is saying fans like Lee Judges, Dan Potts are the minority, but how does he know his idea of the majority? Dude is arrogant. He's not arrogant. How do you know as well?
Because
no one you go and meet every single Arsenal fan, but you take your experiences and the people that you come into contact with, and you try and extrapolate that over a bigger sample or a bigger proportion. I mean,
and also what I mean by the minority is even the likes of Lee Judges and Dan Potts are not going to get an Arteta out banner out. That's what it's going to take to get this guy sacked.
No, Dan Potts already wants a change.
Okay, then he needs to get the banner out, but he's not going to do that.
He won't do it by himself.
Get the planes up.
That's my point. The minority. That's the point I'm making. Like, if you want the manager gone, look, the thing is, me saying it on social. Okay, let's just say hypothetically, right? Here we go. KSC, if you're listening to this, I want Arteta gone. Oh shit, he's sacked, hasn't he? No, because you know why? Because you need a bigger ripple effect for it to happen. That has to go toxic before he gets. Because even if you want to talk about Wenger was flipping. There was infighting in the fans. There was people weren't turning up to games. There was so much security concerns as well before they even made. And even then, it took a season of toxicity, right, to get Wenger to go. It took ages of protesting and going against him. Banners.
Wenger came from a place of way more achievement than what Arteta's done.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. But what it's going to take for the fan base to convince the board to sack him? I'm not talking.
I'm going to tell you what. Once you're convinced that you are entitled to win, once the fan base think that, hold on, we have to win now, people are going to change their opinions.
I'm not saying they
the nicey good win.
Now. It's not going to happen yet. It's not that toxic yet. It has to really. That's not.
By the way, can we stop saying that when people want to win, it's toxic? It's not toxic.
No. Oh my God, it's not.
It is not toxic.
The environment turns toxic. It's not about wanting to win isn't toxic. I'm saying the environment of wanting a manager like this gone, where the board want to keep him. It had like even the Wenger time, right? We wanted to win, but the environment has to be toxic for that to happen because they weren't going to sack him if we're just going to be nice, like yes, Wenger, yeah, and then not say we wanted the guy gone. Because they would have just
ultimately,
ultimately,
look, if I think a well-run club shouldn't take account, and this is a harsh thing to say, a well-run club shouldn't take account of what fans say when they're whether it's their decision to keep or get rid of a manager, because ultimately the only people who know what's going on inside a club are the people inside the club. We see the manifestation of that in football results. Right, and little leaks that come out and things like that. The only people who have the full information are people inside the club. So ultimately, I agree. Look, when it gets toxic, but ultimately, the what happened? When did Wenger get sacked? Wenger got sacked when he didn't get top 4.
Well, no, he got sacked prior to that, even the season ending. But that's because there was a lot of infighting. It was really hostile. It was really hostile. Mm-hmm. So that's when it really turned, because that was when literally every single thing, like people walking out of stadium, like all of that happened, right? And then they went on to make the decision. And it wasn't even a board decision. It was actually Wenger saying, I mean, I know they would say the mutually agreed, departed mutually agreed.
Yeah, but it's like you have to walk now. You have to walk.
Yeah, basically, now. Yeah, right. But it took, I'm telling you, right, it took a lot for that to happen. And I'm just saying, like, for it to happen, right, yes, Arteta has to fail miserably. If he, for example, just misses out on the Premier League, that might not be enough to sack him, because they're going to see, okay, we'll invest in the summer and we'll go again. But if the fan base, it'll take the fan base to turn, whether you want to use the word toxic or whether you want to use, it has to go hostile, right? Let me use that word then. It has to be hostile, right? For them to turn their decision from not wanting to sack him, because don't forget, they're planning the summer with him right now. So for that to change and for him to not be here next season, it has to turn hostile. And that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but look at Chelsea last summer. it wasn't really hostile towards Pochettino.
But Chelsea are a different club.
But I mean, but if there's any club,
Dan goes to every game. He can tell you if it was hostile or not in the stadium when they were winning games.
You would have thought that if there's any club, with the history they've got of turnover of managers and stuff like that, like, don't get me wrong, I think there was some discontent, there was disagreement, but I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan. Was there like a lot of hostility about, because second half of the season, Pochettino did okay.
Yeah, no, I actually think it was probably about this time last year that it was at its worst. So I think he actually turned a corner and people were sort of starting to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think everyone was completely happy.
By the way, some Chelsea fans were okay with him if he stayed, by the way.
Yeah, I think it had got we spoke about it earlier, didn't we? That how many points he got in his second half of the season. I think he turned a corner and it was moving in the right direction. If he'd been given another season, I think Chelsea fans would have probably given him the patience. I think, look, some Chelsea fans just never wanted him there, and some people couldn't see that he'd turned a corner. I think what he did, though, this period of the season up until about now, he made so many mistakes that a lot of Chelsea fans just the relationship of trust just broke down completely. I think that's the key, isn't it? Is that's when I think
bro, he has spies, bro. He has spies, bro.
Yeah, but
I swear we said Poch, and he has spies, bro. He has people telling him
as soon as he said it, his name came up.
That's mad, isn't it? How that timing?
Bro, he has spies, bro. There are people here that keep telling him we're talking about Pochettino.
No, but Lewis felt that he couldn't trust Poch, and from the get-go, after not from the get-go, but as soon as Pochettino made too many mistakes, Lewis wasn't going to give him another chance, which I can completely see that opinion. I felt like Poch eventually turned a corner. I just felt like Chelsea needed some stability because I felt like Chelsea were all over the place, and I just felt like another sacking of a manager might not have been the best thing to do. Turns out it probably was the right thing to do. Anyway, I just think once a fan base loses all trust in a manager, and the majority of the fans lose trust in a manager, that's when I think it becomes hostile, and that's when I think it goes. And I think Poch had kind of turned a corner, but it was obviously the fans were split at Chelsea.
Let me do it. Warren, big up. Thank you, Warren, for the super chat all the way from Australia. A bit harsh. Combination of injuries for Arsenal and Liverpool cooking wrecked our season. Just unlucky. Arteta, architect of an amazing rebuild. I would say he has a maximum 3 year more to win a title.
3 years. Okay, 3 years is a lot, I think.
Okay, Warren.
At this point,
8
Warren,
years to win a title.
You want to have a manager at I'm just gonna say it now, at a so-called big club, 8 years without winning the Premier League or the Champions League, and you want us, Warren, to treat Arsenal as a big club with the manager not winning a Premier League or a Champions League for 8 years at the helm of a big club.
That wouldn't be not familiar for Arsenal, though, would it?
With all due respect to every single Arsenal fan, with all due respect to every Arsenal fan,
what's another 8 years, Mo? It's only 1/3 of the time they've been waiting already.
Yeah,
Dan, you want us to treat? I'm not. By the way, I don't care about the waiting. I waited 10 years for Inter to win the league again. But the problem is, as long as I'm seeing my fans get angry when we don't win it and not accepting that we're not winning it, I knew it will happen. It will come again. The problem is this 8 years. You know what? 8 years can change the fortune of the club. That means it would be 29 years since you have won. 29 years since you've won the league. No, 23 years, right? If I'm not 23 years, I'm sorry. Guys, 23 years without winning the league, and because your history doesn't have any Champions League, I think it's just unheard of. To be honest, that's fucking unheard of.
No, but the 20 years, like the 20 years, or at least 15 of the 20 years, or whatever you want to call it, it's got nothing to do with Arteta, right? So you should only really consider that Arteta's tenure, what he's achieved up to now, whether you consider that to be a lot or little, and moving forward. Like you can't put the previous 15 years on Arteta. That's also
no, not on Arteta. But one manager cannot stay 8 years, Rack, without winning the Premier League or the Champions League. In a big club. I agree. Arne Slot, I'm telling you guys, Arne Slot, no matter how good Liverpool are, in 3 years, if they don't win the Premier League or the Champions League, fans will be saying, well, my man, you're very good, though. But, yeah, right, yeah. But you gotta win now, today. Chelsea fans are the same, bro. We all know that. Everyone knows this. Listen, in Liverpool's worst years, they never kept a manager, if I'm not mistaken, more than 4 years without winning the Premier League or the Champions League. And that's why Liverpool turnaround and managers were crazy.
I think there is a bit of. I mean, I'm not giving him another.
I've been told that Liverpool did not keep a manager without, and they didn't win the Champions League, right, since the 80s until that 2005.
But Liverpool is a weird one, right? Because we came through a period of incredible success, right? We had Shankly, then we had Paisley, then we had Fagan, then we had Dalglish. All of them won a league. Then we had Souness, who came in theory, and Souness was the guy, right? But because there was Liverpool history and he'd won the title. Times right?
You dominated, basically.
He won the FA, and then we had what's the name, Roy Evans, and that didn't work out. And then we had Houllier and Roy Evans together, and then we had Houllier by himself. So, and then we got the ones who had short tenures are Brendan Rodgers. It was 3 and a bit years. Obviously, we had Klopp and what's his face, Roy Hodgson, because he was completely out of his depth.
Warren, I don't know how you can wait that long. Arsenal fans are in love with the story of Arteta winning the league when the narrative should be Arsenal need to win, not Arteta need to win. That's true. That's true.
That's completely false. It's not about Arteta winning it, but it's completely false though, because it's not. I don't really care if
I was Arteta like, yeah, that's definitely true. Completely false.
No, and I'll give my reason. Look, I'm an Arteta fan, right? Like, I do like what he's done for the club and everything about it, but it's not about whether he wins it or us. I've just seen life in a different way, where I've built, like, I've helped build.
It's exactly emphasizing the super chat.
Okay. That's fine, but what I'm saying is, like, I've seen like what a rebuild takes and what it takes to actually go back to your former glories. Like, from certain things, like, when you have to rebuild a culture and everything of that nature. Now, yes, Arteta may not be that guy. Like I said to you, I'm giving him one more season. If he does it or he doesn't do it, that's my timeline. Because at that point, I've seen more than enough, and I think it's more than enough time given to him. If he doesn't address it, because now you've only got one thing to address: the attack. That's it. And none of the fan base is saying touch the midfield or the defense or the goalkeeper or the backroom staff or get a new janitor. All we're asking you to do is go get me a striker or a left winger or a bona fide world class attacker. If you do that, cool. It's not proving your point, though.
I've got a question, right? Because I've been in the Gal show for a while, as you know, and we kind of got.
I'll make sure to like and subscribe. Vibes from the 6.
Yes. And his thing was that Arsenal have to win the league this season, and if Liverpool finish above them this season, his exact words were, and I'm still not entirely clear what this means. He said he's looking at Arteta differently, right? Now, if a scenario like what would Arteta have to do this season for you to say, you know what, that's too bad. Like, if you finish behind Chelsea, and you finish third, would that be enough for you to say, forget sod next year, he has to go now, or would you be willing to give him that time? Still,
I mean, if like I said, it'd be absolutely embarrassing to finish below Chelsea just because of the expectations of the club we have at the moment. That's not necessarily because they're a bad side or we look. We expected them to do what they're doing, whatever. But no one expected them to be above Arsenal. Now, Liverpool, on the other hand, the reason why I'm a bit different with Liverpool, I think Arne Slot has inherited world-class players. Like, not all world-class, but he has got elements of, and Mo Salah himself can win anyone the league title. Like, with the form especially with the form he's currently on, where he's at 27 or 30 GA, whatever it is in the season. So I don't write off Liverpool, and nor did I disrespect them. Now, I did expect us to win the league and Liverpool to be in the conversation, but not win it. Now, obviously, no one expected, like, I mean, people could have expected it, but City shouldn't have had the drop-off they've had. And of course, we should be there to capitalize. But the only other team that I can be willing to accept is Liverpool, because let's be real, what Klopp did last season isn't the standard of Liverpool. That's not the expectation that we have on this squad of players. They are a title-challenging / title-winning team. So we've got to hold them to that standard.
2 years you finished above Liverpool. 2 years in a row you finished above Liverpool. Just putting that on the record.
The manager's been underperforming. That's not because the squad is shit. They've got a better.
So now is your manager underperforming?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. Technically, yes.
Well,
I mean,
the
reason why I say that is because it depends on your expectation of what Arne Slot is. Because Arne Slot had come in as a very highly touted manager. And people made big claims about him as well. But of course, like if you're looking at the grand scheme of things, he's massively underperforming so far, yes.
You know, it's a weird one, right? Because Jurgen Klopp is undoubtedly a world-class manager and one of the best managers in the world. And people are saying top 2, top 3, right? So I think a lot of Liverpool fans, justifiably so, based on that criteria. If you're losing one of the top 2 managers in the world, by definition, you're going to be replacing him with a manager who's not as good. But the transition with Slot couldn't have possibly gone any better. And actually, I'm not. Of course, I'm absolutely not calling into question Klopp's legacy. But sometimes people maybe just need to hear a different voice after 8 or 9 years. Maybe sometimes a change of tactics or adjustment of tactics. We can still do the Klopp football when we need to, but maybe adjustments and little tweaks here and there can refresh the team, refresh the mentality. And that's what it appears from the outside. Again, I don't work at the club, so I don't know exactly what's going on. But it shows that little tweaks like that can potentially make the difference between finishing third one season and winning it the following. Potentially winning it.
Let me do. Original Tada Brown is saying, I'm an Arsenal fan. I find the verbal gymnastics and hopium is getting nauseating and pathetic. Every year, there's always a new variable added to the equation to justify not solving the problem. Okay, apart from him saying nauseating and pathetic, I actually feel the question that I keep asking, what is the threshold? And every time there's not from you, Souls. By the way, you do more of match actions. This is actually your second time only doing one of these shows, the third time, where you're actually not analyzing games. It has been that. It has been, let's add a new variable to the equation to justify waiting another time. Or to injuries, signings, the board, Edo, not getting a striker. This guy happened. It's every time there is something until like, okay, maybe next year. Well, I'm going to tell you something. What if you sign a striker next year, Saliba and Gabriel, and Saliba gets approached by Real Madrid for a massive fee, and he's just, I'm going. This is my lifetime opportunity. I'm going. All right then.
Players come and go. That's
exactly.
For me. Like, players come and go. At the end of the day, if you're a well-run club, forget about Arteta for a moment. If you're a well-run club, and if you trust the owners and the board or whoever else you want to trust, they got to get the job done. Whether you lose, even if we lose Bukayo Saka, as hard as that is, the same way with Liverpool, if you trusted Michael Edwards, you've got to know that there's a successor to Mo Salah coming. And that's how we've got to think. We can't just keep thinking that like players aren't going to show loyalty. When has a player shown loyalty in the past sort of few decades? It hasn't happened. So whether we win or we don't win, if players want to leave, they're going to leave regardless. I mean, Real Madrid are one of those clubs where even if we win the league title, they are bigger than us. They always will be. There's always a threat of a Real Madrid coming in and taking a player from Arsenal. The same way Liverpool are going to see that threat as well, as good as they've been. Even Man City are going to see that threat as good as they've been. Because Real Madrid are not just a big club, they are the biggest club or biggest footballing institution in the world. And when they come knocking, there's always a potential that your player's going.
Will that be another variable that Arteta will get another year because he needs to sign a centre back now to replace Saliba?
Like I said, one more season and there's no more excuses. I'm at that point. I will be done. I've just said just address the attack. That's all I want to see. Because I've even said right. I'll even be more critical if they go into the summer and don't address the attack. If they don't bring me an attacker, I'm already done with this project because I'm like, you guys are fools if you can't see the problem now. Like if that's in the summer, if they don't get a striker or a left winger, I'm questioning the entire thing.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Warren is saying, personally, I believe Arteta has earned 2 more years to win a title, assuming transfer market support along the way. After that, I would say move on.
He just said, Warren, he just said 3 years. He's taken 1 year off in the last 3
years. Now you. I think if we talk more, Warren, you're going to say sack him tomorrow.
Same with Digitals.
If this show goes for more another half an hour, Warren might say, I need to sack him today. Maybe we need a new manager now. The more we talk, the more Warren is.
I'm always going to say 1 year.
He's shaving years.
Big up for the super chat, though, Warren. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. Happy for the support. Appreciate you so much. There's 100% a thing about fans being scared that if Arteta leaves, you are going to regress back to 20 years of not even competing for a title. I've heard that. I've absolutely heard that story. People say, we're regressing that the next appointment will be the wrong one and will not even get the best out of this team.
Yeah, that swings both ways. Keeping Arteta can also regress us 20 years, but also bringing someone else can also regress us 20 years. But it can also do the opposite, where keeping Arteta can also win us the league, but also getting someone else in can also win us the league. So it's always hypotheticals. You're never going to get it 100% right.
It's the example I just gave, right? You're losing one of the top 2 managers in the world in Klopp, but actually, because of maybe a multitude of different reasons, actually it looks like we've moved forward.
Yeah. He will remain there as long as he keeps getting top 4. I refuse to believe that, by the way. All people's evidence is Arsene Wenger. This is all their evidence. And it's just one manager. And I don't think that is true. We'll see, Ahmed, but I don't believe so. Sean, thank you so much. Slot balanced the rotation between Gakpo and Diaz really well. There is no time to speak about Liverpool. Depth and all the stuff. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'll try to get another Liverpool fan tomorrow or something. Talk about Liverpool. Gaslight some Liverpool fans and stuff. So it's so easy, you know. I'll pray for Arteta's failure in his next job. One of the most overrated. Bro, you took it to a different level, my guy. SG. It's like it's fucking. It's one of the most overrated managers. The Paella doesn't deserve any respect for fumbling in critical games. Hate Arteta every fiber of my bones. That is one of the most angry super chat I've had on this channel.
Swedes
sounds angry.
Swedish, right? He's paying the Swedish krona. The Swedes are normally very calm, very chilled, relaxed, calm people.
The guy has had enough. It's had enough. It's done. It's done.
We all have our limits.
Get this man out of here. He's done with waiting. It's finished. He was like, I'm not waiting another year. I'm done. Thank you so much, SG. AMT. I sent the super chat because of Saul's explanation of Arsenal is spot on. Thank you, AMT, for the support. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Warren, my first message was a maximum 3 years as a general sentiment. Though, me personally, I feel he deserves 2 more years. Get it right, guys. Listen, Warren, my man. I think to be funny, you should have said, I'll give him an extra year, just 1. I think that'll make it funny. But thank you, Warren, for the explanation. Appreciate you guys. Guys, we still have over 700 people here. We're 40 likes away from 400 likes live, actually, before the replay even. So hit that like button. Who was better, Suarez or Hazard? In the Prem, Hazard. Overall career, Luis Suarez. And it's not even close.
Yeah, I prefer Suarez. I mean, not as a person, but as a footballer.
I don't like Suarez as a person, and I kind of spoke with Sam about this when he picked Suarez. I just don't like him as a person, and it's not because of the Patrice Evra thing. It's because I think he's just a vile person on the pitch. I don't know the guy off the pitch, biting people's ears and shit like that. It's just a vile person. And I think he's one of these guys that will hurt the opponent unintentionally or intentionally, knowing that he will leave the studs to hurt someone. But as a footballer, I prefer Luis Suarez, to be honest. Dan, you're a Chelsea fan.
Yeah, Hazard. And they're not even in the same position, so I don't really know what we're doing here.
If you have one player then tomorrow to add to your team and your team is complete, which one would you pick?
Hazard. Just every day of the week. I'd have Hazard. Yeah, I would.
Every day of the week.
Don't get me wrong. Luis Suarez was unbelievable, but Hazard was like one of, if not the.
Luis Suarez outscored Messi, bro. He outplayed Messi.
Luis Suarez is an unbelievable player. I just don't get what we're doing here with this. Who was better? They're not even the same position. I just like compare Suarez to Aguero.
Dad wants to say Suarez. It's usually why they say
he wants to.
Yeah,
the Chelsea fan inside is preventing him.
I want to say Suarez. Is that what you're saying? No,
yeah,
I don't want to.
Every time I do this, every time I don't want to say an answer.
You might want to say it, Suarez, but don't mean I do.
We all do it, man. We're all on someone. Yeah, but we're not even the same position.
You might want to give in, but I'm going to say Hazard every day of the week.
A lot of Chelsea fans think that Hazard is the best player to ever play in the Premier League, which is, I think, they're deluded. He's not even on the same table with Mohamed Salah.
Imagine that 40 million bid plus £1 actually got accepted.
Well, he's not even on the same table with Mohamed Salah.
His career would have been over.
Yeah,
he's dining on the backroom table with the other guys. He's not with Salah.
Mo, I still
Salah is
think
with Henry and
these
and
guys
these guys
can all
bro.
still dine on the top table. They can just be different
They
types of
can.
footballers.
If we get more chairs, Hazard will
It
sit.
can also
We
be
have
a
to
big
get,
table.
we have to get extra chairs then, and then Hazard can sit and eat.
For what?
Oh, for the dining table.
Honestly, if Hazard walked into the room and they're all sat on the dining table, he'd be welcome over with open arms. They'd find that quick.
That's what
they wouldn't have an issue getting in there. If you listen to the very best footballers in the world and the way they speak about
Hazard is fantastic. He's an amazing footballer, brilliant. I just think Salah is better.
Salah's great. Salah in terms of what he's doing, numbers wise.
Exactly. Yes.
Might be the GOAT of the Premier League of the Prem. Like he might
if he wins the Champions League of the Premier League this season for Liverpool, being the catalyst.
You don't need to win a Champions League to be the greatest player to ever play in the Prem.
By the way, I always count the Champions League as part of your achievement as long as you're playing for an English club in the Prem. By the way, because it counts because you're playing in the same competition of Champions League, playing in the Premier League. That's just me, by the way. I'm not saying you guys should.
Someone said if Hazard sat at the dining table, he would eat everything.
Oh wow!
That's the joke of the day.
That is on that bombshell.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Last one before we go. For Chelsea right now, isn't it a striker you need? So Suarez, you have Palmer already.
But they need a left winger as well. So.
Yeah, we definitely need a left winger as well. Like, and if you can't compare Sancho to Hazard,
or even Pedro Neto if you want to put him in that, yeah. So.
Yeah, look, these debates we do too much of these. Just enjoy the players if they're that good. Just enjoy them.
You're on mute, Mo.
Yeah, he wants to say Suarez. You can see it. Like,
I'm mute now.
Yes.
No, you're good.
You guys are fucking with me, right?
No, you were.
We can hear you now.
Second. Anyway,
I was muted. Okay, Warren. Question: if Liverpool win the title, what percentage will be due to slot versus team club left?
Oh God. Look, the best thing I'll say
100% on Hodgson, isn't it? Like it's such a dumb question. Slot's obviously done his thing with maybe it's Klopp's team or whatever, but it's all down to the manager who's performing at that moment.
What I'd say is that I don't think Klopp would want to take any credit, which is the best thing, because I think Klopp is a genuinely good guy, despite what other Premier League fans may think of him, and he got the moaning and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think Klopp would want to take any of the shine away from Slot.
But why should any of it go to Klopp? Like, I'm actually genuinely curious.
I mean,
this will get credit. Like, it's all right. Like, it's not like.
But the thing is, it's also like there were other people involved in assembling the squad as well, right? There's the directors of football, and all this kind of stuff. Klopp, when there wasn't a director of football, when we had this German guy who was Klopp's friend, they brought Soboslai and McAllister and all these guys in. Although I think McAllister may have been a little bit down to Julian Ward. I think they've been scouting him for a while, right? So how far do you want to go back? Do you want to go back to from the start of when a club starts scouting players? It becomes.
I'm just going to tell you guys something. If Liverpool win the league this season, Mohamed Salah gets 50% of the credit. Jurgen Klopp gets about 20, and honestly, I get 30. I'm just putting this out there since I'm in Egypt now. I'm just going to put this out there. All right. Big up everybody that joined us. That was one of the best shows I've done over the past month. Absolutely brilliant and an amazing discussion. I enjoyed that so much. Dan, you got something coming up, or you did the show earlier?
Did a show last night, or a video last night, and dropped some TikToks as well. I dropped one about Amarim, which has gone crazy, actually. I can't lie. So, yeah.
All right. Fantastic, guys.
Dan, what's your YouTube channel?
BDB
It's in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you, everyone that joined us. Joan, you arrived late to the party. No Centennial wrong chant was yours.
He sent some random other channel 10 euros.
Random channel, 10 euros, thinking it's my channel. Find the funny super chat. Sean, please clip this one. Clip this. Appreciate you.
You get a free super chat next show. John, tune in next show. You get a free super chat.
Yes. Thank you everyone that joined us. Appreciate you guys. I'm not going live again today, but I might be on the Lahwa today at 11 p.m. UK time. I'm doing a solo show tomorrow, and then Dio, Roms, and Luke tomorrow. Maybe someone else. I don't know. I'll see you guys soon. This will take you to Lewis with Potch Out. I'll see you guys soon.